I'm Joel Rubinstein, a partner at White & Case law firm. We do a lot of work in Israel, IPOs, M&A, and investments. We're also proud to count the state of Israel as one of our clients. We did the $8 billion bond offering that the state did earlier this year. So very excited to continue to support and work in Israel. You know, a lot of people with Israel, they think it's like the craziest situation going on. I don't know if you saw, right? There was a martial law declared in South Korea last night. I just saw on my phone that it was, they suspended it now. So, you know, Israel does not have a monopoly on crazy political situations going on, so we shouldn't always feel a chip on our shoulder when dealing with it. Today, I'm joined by Zhak Cohen. Zhak is Managing Director at Gallatin Point. We recently worked with Zhak on investing in Phoenix, which is an insurance and investment services company in Israel, and investing in and exiting it. So wanted to have him join and talk about the process of investing in there and his experience investing in Israel and some tips for navigating that process. So maybe you could just talk briefly about how you got started investing in Israel and in particular the Phoenix investment.
Sure. Thank you for having me, and thank you for everybody who organized this event today. I think it's not only important, it's necessary to bring back investors to Israel. We're starting to see the momentum and love to see that continue to build. Our story at Gallatin is that we were fortunate enough to come across Phoenix Holdings, which is one of Israel's largest insurance companies and asset managers, manages over $130 billion and makes a lot of startup investments as well. If those of you who don't know them who may want to, feel free to reach out and we're happy to connect. But we'd love to say that we made the investment from a mission-driven love for Israel. And while I do think there is a mission-driven love for Israel among a lot of us in the investment community, the truth is we made the investment because we thought we could make a lot of money. And we saw really good risk-adjusted returns from Israel relative to other locales and other jurisdictions around the world. And the truth is that ended up actualizing itself. Together with our partners in Centerbridge, we were able to make hundreds of millions of dollars on the investment, and I think other investors that look at Israel should know that the ecosystem doesn't only export really strong companies, but also within the local market, there's a great dislocation and an ability to invest and do good while doing well. And so that's been our journey with Phoenix, and we've continued it with other companies, most recently with IDB Bank in New York, and we look forward to doing more with Israel and the greater Israel ecosystem.
So Phoenix was one of your investments, but you obviously went into it a number of years ago and have just recently exited, as many private equity funds will do over time. How have you seen the investment landscape change over the years that you've been investing in Israel, and obviously in particular since October 7th, and even again more recently as it's been over a year?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of people in the U.S. would look at Israel and sort of bifurcate the pre-October 7th and post-October 7th era from an investment perspective. I think as someone who's been there for, several years, we would say that about 3 years ago, as there was the rise in political turmoil with multiple elections and then with the judiciary reform and then the war, that there has been several years of more difficult on-the-ground circumstances in country. Fortunately, what we'd say, and we've seen some of the graphs shown here today, that clouds are starting to lift and lift quickly. And over the last several months in particular, we're really seeing great optimism on the ground for investments within country. And we, Gallatin, part of our exit in Phoenix was finding investors around the world in the US and Europe and Israel who were interested in investing in Israel and joining that landscape, and we found over $1 billion of capital that was very excited to pour in. And so the capital is there, the optimism is there, and we've really seen a turn over the last several months that we expect to last for this next era.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point. There's a lot of, I'd say, overblown sentiment that you'll see in the media and social media in particular about Israel and makes it seem a certain way. But in the end of the day, so you obviously in Phoenix were looking for investors who would come in and take your position, but also you have your own investors in Gallatin. And how have they perceived your investments in Israel? Have you gotten any questions, concerns, or other reaction?
We have not. I think our investors have been very much behind our investments in country, and that stems from the risk reward that they're receiving, right? I think people earlier on said that what drove them to the investments are the people, the education level, the grit of the individuals in country, and if you compare that to anywhere across the world, it compares extremely favorably. And so for our LPs who, span local investors, institutional investors, sovereign wealth funds, I think universally, they've welcomed the investments in Israel because they understand that they're rooted in strong fundamentals that are not found necessarily elsewhere in the world today. And so our experience has been very positive. We have not had any feedback where investors have asked us why, look at this region, is it too risky, et cetera. I think they've seen that the risk reward has been more than justified, and they've been very well compensated for the investments we've made.
So as an investor who invests not only in Israel, but predominantly, I guess, outside of Israel, what particular challenges did you face in investing in Israel, either regulatory or otherwise, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so, I was born in Beersheba in Israel, and I moved to the U.S. as a kid. So I was fortunate enough going into the experience to speak not only Hebrew, but also Israeli. And I think it's very much necessary for individuals who are going to go in and invest on the ground to understand the culture, welcome the culture, and also partner with people who understand the culture. I think if we look at the banner of the individuals who are sponsoring this event today, including White & Case, including Jeffries, and others, you have strong institutional quality support that can help you on ground. And we'd very much recommend, as somebody who's invested in country, to partner with those individuals who can maneuver those rooms. I remember one of our first meetings on a diligence meeting, we came in and KPMG Israel was there, and they were representing us, and the management team was there. And we had individuals in the room who, were American and European investors, and they were taken aback because everybody was shouting at each other for 5 minutes straight to start the meeting. And they looked at me because they knew that I understood Hebrew and asked Zhak, like, what's happening? I said, don't worry, they're just saying hello. And it's a cultural experience where if you don't understand the people, you don't understand the love they have for each other and the way they interact, I think you can miss some of the special sauce that's on the ground. So would very much recommend that you get the right river guides, you think ahead of time around some of the regulatory challenges. You have to understand that market's often been supported by high net worth or oligarchs from a country perspective, and so the laws were written to take care of what those investments would look like rather than international institutions or financial sponsors. And so we've always found the regulators to be hardworking and well-intentioned, and they're willing to work with you hand in hand to make it work, but you just have to give yourself enough lead time and have the right river guides. And thankfully with White & Case and others, we did.
Yeah, no, I think that's an important point, to be ahead of things. We recently had someone I know who sold a position and struggled to be able to get the money out. You have to get, there's withholding tax. If you're a non-U.S. investor, you have to get a certificate to exempt that. And that can be a process that could take a long time. So the sooner you get going on those sorts of things and navigating it, and exactly like you said, you have to understand the local culture and the local situation, and can't just wade into it like that. So for the last question, if you're in the position of a company in Israel looking for investment, is there anything in particular advice you would give to make yourself more attractive, make the process easier for an investor coming in?
I would start with strong fundamentals. There's a lot of affinity for Israel. And I had a baby a couple of weeks ago. I wouldn't be here if this was a generic insurance company conference. A lot of investors are willing to take the extra step and come and step up for Israel, but it starts with showing a strong proposition on the fundamental side. I think from an investor perspective, if you're looking to go to Israel, the recommendation, in addition to, final recommendation, in addition to finding the right river guides would be to go to the country, go meet with the people on the ground, go feel the culture, feel the people, feel the atmosphere, and you'll make your ROI on that trip will be very, very high, and you'll help the country, and you'll help yourself, and you'll help your investors ultimately. And so that would be my advice to both of those looking to gain the capital, which is ample, and gain good investment opportunities within country.
All right, that's good advice. Thank you. We each really, as Zach said, there's a level of commitment and excitement that we each have when doing business in Israel. It doesn't transcend, as you said, the fundamentals, but it definitely makes it that I know I look forward to any opportunity I have to do work in Israel, and look forward to supporting Restart Israel and this conference. Thanks very much.
Thank you.